Welcome back. So, today we are going to continue our conversation about radicals, but now instead of merely simplifying them, we're going to talk about how can we multiply radical expressions together. So, the key to multiplying radical expressions is multiply the outsides and keep them outside the expression, and then multiply the insides and keep them inside the expressions. Then once you've done that and you have it written as a single radical, now you can begin the simplification process. So the big idea to remember is when you're multiplying expressions together, you multiply the numbers. So here, the 2 and the 3 multiply to give you 6. And you add exponents. So 3 plus 4 is what gives you the 7. So that's a big idea, what we need to remember in order to be successful in this notes. So let's take a look at our first example. So again, multiply the outsides, and then multiply the insides. So in this case, we're kind of fortunate. There is nothing outside the radical, so we don't have to worry about that. So let's multiply the insides. And again, in order to multiply the insides, you multiply the numbers. So 2 times 50 gives us 100. And then we add exponents. So 3 plus 1 gives us 4. Now, once we've done this, now we take a look at the index. So the index, again, is a 2 if it's not written there. It's a 2, it's a square root. And now we take a look. Well, square root of 100. That's going to be a really nice one. That one actually is on our list. The square root of 100 is going to be 10. And then how many times does 2 go into 4? Remember, when we transition to dealing with variables with exponents, now we see how many times does the index go into that exponent. How many times does 2 go into 4? Well, 2 goes into 4 twice, so it comes outside the radical as a 2. So we simply get 10x squared. And for this one, that's all you have to do. Well, let's transition to the next example. So for the next example, we do have some things outside the radical. So here we have 3 times 4 to deal with on the outside. So that becomes 12. And then we start dealing with the inside. Remember, multiply the numbers. So 2 times 12 gives us a 24. And then you multiply or you add the exponents of the variable. So 2 plus 5 gives us 7. So now that we have that, now we're ready to start simplifying. So if you look at our cube root list, you look at the powers chart under the third column, the third power, notice 24 is not on the list. However, note that 24 can be broken down into 8, which is on the list, and 3. And remember, the reason we break it down that way is because now that 8, the cube root of 8, is just a 2. And so that's going to join the 12 on the outside. And then the cube root of 3 is stuck on the inside. So don't forget how to split those things up, just like we were doing before. Now we take a look at the variable with the exponents. So how many times can 3 go into 7? Well, 3 goes into 7 twice. So when a squared pulls out, because 3 goes into 7 twice, but that only gets me up to 6. Remember, now I have 1 left over to get up to 7. So that 1 that's left over is stuck inside the radical. Okay, so it's going to end up just staying there inside the radical. We're almost done, but there's one last thing we have to look out for. So on the outside, now that I have a 12 times 2 that's on the outside, well, might as well just call that 24. So when you have multiple numbers on the outside, make sure you just multiply them, okay? And then leave everything else just the way that you had it when you simplified it. And that's going to be your final answer. That's going to be your simplified expression. Okay, so keeping this short and sweet to the point. So Make sure you have this written down so you can reflect on these when you're doing your practice work. And then also, again, please, as always, make sure you come and ask me if there's anything that you have questions on.